Hi everyone, delonewolf here and welcome back to the Sunday Recap, my weekly vlog where I talk a bit about my last week in games, and as always we'll start with EVE Online, where the first part of the week definitely was dominated by EVE Online. Spent most of my time in a Mars space, still having a pretty good time exploring around there. Found another day with a huge amount of data sites, that was very satisfying, and got a couple of drops as well, not from the signatures but actually from the anomalies. Actually got a 140 plus million whip from a refuge, one of the lowest level anomalies that you can find in there, but those escalate to nice 3 out of 10s. So on a couple of evenings I also did that, just run anomalies and cleaned those up on my route while exploring around a little bit. So I would say that I had a pretty good week, flying around in the Ishtar, exploring and just getting some extra stuff done. I also spent a decent amount of time freightering some goods towards Amar, just getting some of those scattered goods out into the Amar trade hub ready for sale. So I've got the station container system almost down. I think I need a couple more for just a few more categories that I've got lying around, but overall I now have a nice system where, ores and minerals, alright, that's that part. Salvage and rigs, that's that part. Modules, if something pops up in exploration, can just put that in a different container. It does clean things up a little bit more, and so if you then want to sell something specific, go into my PI tab, more coolants, they're at a good price, sell them. It just helps a lot, and that's in fact through one of those donations that I discovered that, hey, that's actually not a bad system, where someone gave me stuff that they had in the station and it was all already sorted into different containers. So that was pretty cool, and it's definitely something that I'm going to actually build up in all of the trade hubs in the game as I go along. But at the moment I'm spending most of my time in Amar space, and so I've got quite a bit of stuff, let's say 10 jumps within the Amar trade hub that I still need to move into the trade hub itself. So still a little bit of work to do there, and then we'll move on to Kaldari and then Galente and then finally Minmatar, where I'll have a similar system in all of them. Should be good. I do enjoy that actually a little bit as well when I need to just relax. It's a little bit of space trucking with a little bit of inventory management that I've been doing there. Also did do a jump clone to Jita to take a look at what was happening there for the research equipment market. Very interesting, pretty inexpensive at the moment, so if you want to stock up potentially on your Tech 2 research items, on your Tech 3 research / production items, it does seem like it's a decent time to do so. But I also went there to take a look at potential trades, and I was trying to get the Zwepel trade to work because that one pulled back even more, went substantially below 40 million ISK when all the other tactical destroyers went up towards 50 million and above, at least 45. But unfortunately I think other players noticed that opportunity as well, and they quickly outbid me. Now I'm leaving my buy order there with the current price. I do think that we're still, that I tend to trade within a reasonable band, and so even if it doesn't happen on this decline, perhaps within the next 3 months there will be another price decline that will trigger my buy order. In fact, I only noticed now because I'd completely lost track of it, but I had a Kitsune sell order going as well. I think I bought it for like 22 million and tried to sell for 35 million, and it looks like about a month ago my sell order actually triggered, so I got another very good trade that I actually managed to do without even noticing that it triggered, because other people started to undercut me right after I put up the sell order. So I thought, well, it's not very likely that it's going to happen, but looks like I still went within a reasonable band. So I do keep track of, I make sure that I try to buy as close as possible to 1 year low point, but I'm not afraid to set my buy order a little bit aggressive so that I have like a very good chance of picking it up, and then even compared to the other 1 year low points, so on a second decline I feel like I've still got a good chance of picking up up my buy order, and I do the same thing with my sell orders. So overall, I think my trades, even within the 3 months of an order, tend to do trigger, which is always good news, of course. Next to that, we're of course eagerly awaiting more news on what CCP is planning. If I'm not mistaken, next week we should have eFanfest. I do think some stuff will start to drop. No, not FanFest, excuse me, but eVegas. And I do think that some information will start to drop from that weekend on. And it looks like CCP is in full development because we will have a mass test next week. Bit of a surprise, not sure what we'll be testing there. Sounds like some audio stuff from the announcement, but we will see. It could be pretty interesting, of course, and as always, I'll try to make it there. And this brings me to the second game for this week. Since the first part was dominated by EVE Online, that must mean that something else has been dominating the later part of the week, and that has of course been Path of Exile with the Scourge League. I've actually been thinking a lot before the Scourge launch itself, but eventually I decided that on launch evening, which for us here in Europe is actually quite late in the evening, I decided not to jump in on the queue and potentially have crashes and things like that. Didn't want to bother with that, so I went to bed so that I could get up early, make EVE talk, do my groceries, and then start playing the Scourge League for Path of Exile. A pretty typical start for me, something that I'm familiar with because of course we got a big rework of the passive skill tree, and so it is a Necromancer minion summoner, focusing though on Chaos Inoculation and Energy Shield, which is one of the reasons why I've actually started in softcore, because I died several times already to the new league mechanic. My defense is definitely not as good as early game as I would have with like a life-based character, but I kind of want that immunity to chaos damage to free up space and to have a little bit more options for my gearing. So that's the plan. We'll see if it works out or not. On the league mechanic front, very interesting, but as I've said, you can be surprised sometimes. You've got a couple of chargers that stun you, and then you've got a couple of big boys that do massive AoE damage. So they all fire at the same time, because you do jump into the other dimension, the demonic dimension, in one go, and so everything is like set to pounce on you. It is quite dangerous, it is quite deadly. I'm already thinking about other options, other characters for me to play with a little bit more mobility. I do think that that's very important, but overall it has worked to a treat, and I really do enjoy the crafting aspect of that one, because you can use white items, and so I can focus on items that drop, that have high needed, and that base for energy shield, and then I just gamble on those items with the league mechanic. Got a couple of nice ones. Also trying to improve the links, because it does have a chance, like a 15% chance I think, at this point, to add a link to an item. So chest pieces with 6 sockets and 4 links, I tend to run those into the Scourge mechanic, and haven't had a lot of success with that, but overall it has been quite a treat. Game performance wise, not much to report. I do have crashes, quite a few of them, I'd say half a dozen on like my first day of playing, but they've always been on loading a map, so definitely not something that like happens right in the middle of a fight or anything like that. These crashers, for me at least, have centered around going from one place to another through a waypoint or through a portal, so not that big of a deal, a little bit annoying, but other than that it's been going quite swimmingly, and I have been enjoying my first Necromancer summoner in Path of Exile. I'm definitely going to play quite a bit more of that one, and we'll see what I can manage to do video wise, but as always I'll at least keep you guys up to date in the Sunday recap. And that was my last week in games, guys. Thank you very much for watching, and as always I'll see you next time.